Hello, and welcome to Interfaith Community Sanctuary. My name is Chris, and I'm very glad to be hosting my good friend, Reverend Judith Laxer today. I'll tell you more about her and why she's here, but first I wanted to do this. Now I'm going to light our lamps, as Sally Jo is doing. Thank you, Sally Jo. Well, again, welcome to Interfaith Community Sanctuary, and welcome to all of our friends and family out there online. I wanted to just mention that today we're 3 days into the new year in the Celtic tradition. It's the day of Halloween is known as Samhain. That's still celebrated in other traditions as Dia de los Muertos. And it's a time when they say that the veil between the worlds is thin, and I'm sure Reverend Judith will be saying a lot more about that. I don't want to stomp on her words. But this is a glad time. I know that there are other reasons for anxiety today and coming up in a couple of days. Goddess bless us all, and may she carry us through this time of challenge. I should have brought that up. So today, November 3rd, I'd like to also invite our ancestors. Over the past few years, as the pandemic took its hold on folks, we've lost a lot, and I want to honor and have us hold in our minds those who may always be on our thoughts and our hearts, but realize that they're here in our presence today, and to know that even though we may not see them physically in this life, they're still caring for us, they're still interceding for us, and to know that they will do that as long as we need and as long as our descendants need. So I ask all those who've gone before, my phone is part of those ancestors, I guess, telling me things. I just ask that they be here with us now, look kindly on us, and just try to share their wisdom as best they can. To all our ancestors, all that have gone before us, be here with us now. Blessed be. I'd also like to acknowledge that this land that Interfaith Community Sanctuary sits on is and remains native sacred land. Many ancient peoples before the European settlers have held this land sacred, honoring the animals, honoring the plants, and doing their best to hold that also in trust for future generations. The ones that were here in Seattle and in Ballard were known as the Coast Salish tribe. You may have also heard of the Duwamish. There are many other tribes and groups that I could name, but frankly, all of these two continents were held by indigenous peoples long before they were colonized. And we'd like to honor their sacrifice, remember that they have still hold this land sacred, still do the work to continue to hold their traditions and their language. Unfortunately, at least in the Duwamish, the U.S. government has decided not, at least so far, to honor the Duwamish peoples with federal recognition. There is a lovely site in South Seattle along the East Marginal Way. It's known as their Duwamish Longhouse. I highly recommend that you visit there if you haven't already. They also have a website which can talk more about that much better than I can, realrentduwamish.org, and we're proud to make contributions to their fight to continue to be recognized. Goodness, okay. So I also ask that our First Peoples be here with us now, blessed be. So, I'd like to turn this over to my friend and sister in the goddess, Reverend Judith Laxer, as she talks about the wisdom of the Crone. I don't know if I'd consider her that myself, but this is her label. So I wanted to read a little bit and then tell a short story about how I was first lucky enough to come in contact with her. Any of this information is on our website, so if you want to read through it again. At this time of year, when nature is going dormant and the deeper mysteries of death are present for contemplation, we honor the goddess as Crone and glean the wisdom that age and experience brings. As a teacher, Reverend Judith Laxer, as a teacher, spiritual counselor, and the founding priestess of Gaia's temple, which fosters the love of the divine feminine by honoring nature and the qualities of compassion and relatedness. She is a modern-day mystic who believes that beauty, humor, and the wonders of nature make life worth living. The founding priestess of Gaia's temple and the MoonWise Mystery School, now both online and accessible from anywhere, Judith is a keynote speaker, teacher of the magical arts and mysteries, and author of Along the Wheel of Time, Sacred Stories for Nature Lovers, which is put out by Ravenswood. And I'm sure she'd be able to help you find that if you need it. Judith dedicates her work to the rise and cultural integration of the divine feminine, all her magnificence and wisdom, and she has two websites, judithlaxer.com and gaiastemple.com. .org, sorry, you're right. Now I wanted to tell a short story back in the early, I'm going to say, early 2000s. A good friend of mine knew that I was a spiritual seeker of ways beyond the Roman Catholic tradition that both of us were raised in. This is talking about my friend Augusto Romano, who I believe is observing this through online, and I say ciao, Augusto. Some time back, he had found that Gaia's temple was meeting in Reverend Judith's counseling office, which happens to be in Green Lake, I believe. And he, after a couple of tries, he got me to go, and I was really amazed and found great solace in the words and the circle that we shared in. It was a lovely gathering, and I've been able to go to other Gaia's Temple gatherings in other locations that they have throughout the Seattle area, and I guess I'm just very blessed to know you and to be able to share in, when I think divine feminine, I've given the prayer up here from time to time. Frankly, I think of my wife Lila first, but very high on that list among divine feminine aspects is Reverend Judith Laxer. And yes, yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't have much contemplation on including Lila first, but So Reverend Judith will also offer our offering to the divine feminine, and then she'll be talking about the wisdom of the Crone. So without further ado, I did want to mention a bit of a mundane business. If you are observing this online, please look at our web page, and there is a donate button, green button there that says donate. We'll talk more about that later, but we need contributions monetarily and your volunteer and voices. So again, thank you. Blessed be. Welcome, Judith Laxer.
Thank you, Chris. So I have an invocation to the goddess, and after each line, if you'll all join me in unison on the be with us. So you'll say be with us. And it goes like this. Crone, goddess of wisdom, be with us. Beautiful elder of experience, be with us. Midwife of the mysteries, be with us. Truth teller, guide of compassion, loving comfort, be with us. Today we seek to embrace the great mystery, be with us. To open to your presence at the threshold, be with us. To trust the turning of the wheel, be with us. We gather on this fine day to be in your presence, be with us, blessed be. Were there more announcements, or do we just go straight into the service now? Okay, so here we go. Well, I just want to say first, Chris, I didn't know how we actually met the first time, so that was great. We were meeting at my office, as he said, in the Green Lake area until there were 35 people in that little room. And that's when I knew I was onto something, and we better find a bigger place. And that, you're right, that was in the early 2000s, because in 2004, we ended up moving. And in September of this year, we celebrated 24 years of this ministry, So I begin with my gratitude for being invited back to share my message with you. I'm always so honored to do so, always so happy to be here among you, to share nature's teachings in a spiritual context, to glean the wisdom from nature on our earthly journey. And at this time of the year, gleaning is certainly something that we engage in. On the pagan wheel of the year, we just celebrated Samhain, as Chris mentioned, what came to be known here in America as the Hallowed Evening, or Halloween. The night it is said that the veil between the living and our ancestors draws very, very thin, and we may more easily connect with them on the other side. And although the actual Hallowed Evening is the height of this experience, I could feel my ancestors drawing closer over the last couple of weeks, and I know I will for weeks to come, and the truth is they are always just on the other side of the veil. The seasons change day by day. They don't just change suddenly. It appears as if they do, but there's a progression. And so it's not too late to connect with this great mystery of that veil and our journey back and forth between it and our connection to our beloveds on the other side of this veil. Speaking of beloveds on the other side of this veil, I want you to know that this was Karen's. I wore it today to honor her. And she was on the ancestor altar at Gaia's temple this year, just to let you know. So I consider Karen to be one of my ancestors now, as I know we all do here. So I could talk for a long while about how we have twisted and warped this beautiful holy day, meant to be celebrated by honoring our beloved dead, by considering our lineage and our legacy, by preparing for the winter that this season ushers in. I could talk for a long time about how we have twisted and warped this beautiful holy day into gore and guts and horror movies, which is a sad reflection of how we view this beautiful, great mystery of life and death in our culture. But instead, I want to talk with you about the crone aspect of the goddess. I always think of the crone as the crone time of the year, because the year is getting older, and so is she. The goddess has many and varied manifestations. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but just for context, I think this is part of what can be so confusing and a little disconcerting about goddess worship for those who are used to monotheism, because she's known by 10,000 names and cultures all over the world. And in the bigger picture, she is Mother Earth herself, and so we know her as Mother Nature. And as we all know, her laws are irrefutable. Remember that old margarine commercial? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. I'm showing my age. So the goddess is also known as a triple goddess, and she is perceived as maiden, mother, and crone. And in our more recent history, we've added the title queen in there, between mother and crone, which I'll talk about in a moment. But this triple aspect of who she is at the root of the magic of the number 3, for those who might be into numerology. 3 is the number of manifestation. So we might think of the numbers 1 and 2 as the mama and the papa, and 3 as the result of their union, or the manifestation of their union. She is the triple goddess because she is spirit made manifest in our world. This triple aspect of the goddess is in direct relation to our aliveness, the fact that we are alive, which is a result or a manifestation, we might say, of what comes down to us, heartbeat by heartbeat, in our bloodline. At Samhain, we sing this chant because of its deep wisdom. We sing, "It's the blood of the ancients that flows through our veins, and the forms pass, but the circle of life remains." That's the song we sing over and over in our Samhain circle. These are indeed the greatest of mysteries, because birth and death are the thresholds into and out of this life, which are the greatest mysteries we will ever encounter. Our brains were not yet developed enough to remember our birth, so our experience of it remains a conscious mystery anyway. And of course, until we die, our death too will remain a mystery. The mystery of life and death is that they are thresholds into something else, something that will come after, but we just don't know what that is for certain. Of course, this is where our faith comes in. We can't exactly remember what took place before. We come back through the birth canal, and I like to think of it also as the veil of forgetfulness. But this is where our faith comes in the felt sense, the truth that we feel in our blood and our bones about what we will encounter across the thresholds before and after this life. I don't know about you, but I'm planning on going to Avalon and munching some sweet apples from the orchards there. I plan to spend at least one turn of the wheel discarnate, so I can just chill, rest, and restore, and then I'll figure out what I might want to do after that. But I digress. Back to the triple goddess, she who is maiden, mother, and crone. As the maiden, she is the manifestation of the union that precedes her. She is the vitality of youth with all its vigor and wonder and enthusiasm. There is a purity and innocence there in the maiden aspect of the goddess. Now, this doesn't mean that she is clueless or unaware or stupid, but innocence more as lack of experience. If you are an adult who has ever made love, think back to who you were before you ever made love, and I bet you can find what was innocent about you, even though you were probably very mentally savvy at the time. There's an innocence there when gathering experience. The maiden possesses the strength and the vitality of youth, and goddesses like Artemis and Athena, Bridget and Persephone, all maiden goddesses, they are exuberant in their power and in their prowess. They are strong and energized, fully present. Their capacity to endure and be resilient is formidable. They use their intellect and energy to protect and safeguard, to strategize, to heal, to inspire, and to witness. The maiden gathers powerful experiences that form who she will become. And then the mother phase of the goddess begins at the rite of passage of menarche. She transforms from child to woman. Now the blood of life that collects in her womb when not nurturing and growing life leaves the temple of her body. Life would not continue without this blood. It is the blood of life itself, the lineage that flows in our veins. This cycle of life-giving is a powerful rhythm. The mother aspect of the goddess is infused with power, with beauty and allure, with sensuality and strength. The goddess as mother is the great multitasker, right? With an expanded capacity to care for and to care about, to manage and to handle, to choose and to act. This fertile experience gives rise to empathy, relatedness, tenderness, ferocity, and a very deep well of love. The crone enters at the rite of passage of menopause, and this is where I want to speak to the queen archetype here as well. As we know, goddess worship is ancient, like really ancient. And in ancient times, as far as we know, humans weren't living as long as we are living now in present time. Just a few generations ago, living into one's 60s was old age. Now it's the new 40s, right? Only with Medicare. But in more recent years, with the emergence of the goddess after centuries of obscurity and with women living longer, many women don't relate to the word crone. You even said, I don't think of Judith as a crone, right? We think crone, ugly old hag, right? We think terrible things about the word crone. So they don't necessarily relate to that word simply because their bodies have ceased to be fertile and with the cessation of monthly bleeding. The word crone had taken on the meaning of an ugly old woman, and also a woman who was useless, a woman who was mean-spirited, and also evil, which is just not fair and just not true. So there was an argument against being defined by simply our biology, which is very interesting to me, because now many of those same women are arguing for biology when it comes to trans rights, but I digress. Many women feel more personally empowered and powerful at and after menopause than in their youth, because now the fertility of the goddess becomes wisdom, the wisdom of lived experience, which, my friends, is very, very powerful. So the queen phase of the goddess was added because with longevity increasing, this part of a woman's life being so vital and powerful, it was felt necessary. But the truth is that each aspect of the triple goddess comprises a spectrum of development. For example, a baby girl is very different than the girl she will become at 7 years old, and even more different than who she is at 11 or 12 years old, yet we consider every part of that the maiden phase. A young teen who has just come of age is very different than the woman she'll become in her 20s and 30s and 40s, and even more different than when she reaches the threshold to menopause, and yet we consider every part of that phase mother. And the adult woman who crosses the threshold at menopause is very different than the elder she'll be in her 60s and 70s, and even more different than who she'll be in her 80s and 90s, and hopefully past the century mark. Yet we consider every part of that phase crone. So while I relish the queen phase that I still consider myself to be in, thank you, Chris, I recognize it as part of my cronedom. I'm 65. I'm taking that title. I'm a crone. The crone phase of the triple goddess is infused with wisdom and humor, acceptance, generosity, and grace. There's a grace there now. The crone bestows her blessings on us, and those blessings are filled with compassion and comfort, hard truths told with enough love to make them palatable. The crone has presence and courage. Remember that the word crown is derived from the word crone, a woman whose wisdom merits leadership for their people. Hopefully, all those who wear a crown in leadership for their people provide it from the wisdom of the crone, whether as queen or king or any other title they may have. Now, we are living in a culture that persists in telling us that women are only valuable if they fit society's norms for beauty, if they are still young and fertile, and if they do most, if not all, of the caretaking of the men and the children, if they maximize that multitasking thing, even if it means they burn out doing so. That's just one reason why I love the goddess. There are so many reasons, but this is one big one, because she's not singular in her emanation. She is whole. She is everything. She is maiden, mother, and crone. So every phase of life is honored for the value that it brings. Goddess worship teaches us that every phase of life has value, not just the bloom of youth, as it were. And women who have been without feminine examples of divinity to relate to for so long find this spiritual model of divinity in the goddess who encompasses all that they are, restoring those blood mysteries of menarche and menopause and what comes before and after them as holy. We have a holy experience. It's not the curse, it's the miracle. revering the feminine by recognizing her holiness and value in every aspect as maiden and mother and crone. It's a holy experience. There is a synthesis that happens in the soul in elderhood. And the wise crone goddess exemplifies this by her lived experience, gleaned knowledge, and trust in her intuition. We all have intuition, and then we second guess it away. But by the time we become a crone, we go, oh yeah, I know that feeling. I'm gonna listen to my gut. So the crone weaves wholeness into the world. She has nothing more to prove. She no longer feels the need to impress anybody. And perhaps more importantly than anything, she is the truth teller. She's no longer afraid to speak the truth. All the ways we elaborate to be approved of, to make someone think that we are better than we are, ways we lie to protect ourselves or to manipulate our situation, all of these things start to drop away when we reach that cronedom. Crones are what they are, and there's no more need for pretense. We all become the crone in the act 3 of our lives, and by now we know that it is pointless to lie. No need to lie. Doesn't matter. We don't have to impress anybody. Jane Fonda talks about the third phase of a woman's life, but I think this is true of all of our lives, as Act 3. And in showbiz parlance, Act 1 introduces the characters, gives some background, and sets the stage for the story that is unfolding. Act 2, we're in the thick of it, right? The story is happening with all its creation and drama and conflict. And then Act 3 is the resolve. It may not be the very end of the story, but there is a wrap-up in Act 3 in one way or another, and often it is in Act 3 that we learn the truth so that the rest of the story makes sense. The crone is Act 3, resolve and truth-telling. We rely on our elders to model what it is to be true to themselves, to be true in the world, to tell the truth, to provide the truth for us. Wow! That is magic. There's a future crone in our midst. Blessed be the little thing standing on its side there. Yeah, we rely on our elders to tell us the truth. And the domain of the crone includes, among other things, the blood mystery that occurs when our blood stops flowing at all, when our heart ceases to pump our blood, when the essential spirit of who we are leaves our mortal coil, the truth of death on the life cycle. Oh, blessed Samhain on the wheel, time to reflect on these deep and true mysteries. Now we can see why, when our egos have us in fear about death, and we use denial of death as a coping mechanism to bring relief from that fear, and whether that's religious fear that we might have been taught, fear that death might be painful, or any other kind of fear we might be harboring, we're not always so happy to see the crone who bring those fears sharply into focus. We're not always happy to see the crone to be getting older, to feel the changes that can't be reversed in our bodies, to feel our age as the years roll by. And because the crone reminds us of that threshold, our egos convince us that if we devalue the truth of her, we can escape the truth of death. This is the little story we tell ourselves. It's so unnatural, and it's so unhealthy. So here's the greatest truth about the greatest truth. It is the one thing, the only thing in life that we can rely on to happen. We can make our plans and work toward our goals and be motivated by all kinds of desires, but nothing is certain in life. Nothing is certain in life except for the fact that we are going to leave it. Death will be the door through which we leave. The crone knows this, and she speaks the truth about it. Everyone will die, she says, some sooner, some later, but the wheel must turn and the life cycle will spin. We come in, we go out, and we come in again. The crone is the midwife at birth and the goddess at the threshold midwifing death. The crone is the funerary priestess, the guide across the threshold, the sacred undertaker. She brings news of this great mystery, this certain rite of passage, in different ways. We find her truth spoken to us in our bodies as they diminish and begin to break down. We hear her truth in a chilling diagnosis. We know her truth when we find we can't keep up, when we find we can go no longer performing a task that we once did with ease. She speaks through the voice of the next generation when they express concern about us, when the way we live must change to accommodate limitation, when we must rely on others, even though we're so independent, to do things that we used to be able to do on our own. These are little deaths along the way, deaths of identity, deaths of routine, deaths of the way it's always been. And they are, in a good way, preparing us for the inevitable somewhere in our future. Little light topic for this morning. So I have a song, and the lyrics are in the program. And some of you might know this song, and I think we should sing it through 3 times. And the tune is very, very simple, so I'll just start to sing it and you join in, and it goes like this. There is a woman who is the night sky. See what she spins, how her fingers fly. She is within us, beginning to end. Our grandmother, our sister, our friend. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. Oh, she changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. That's repeated. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. There is a woman who is the night sky. See what she spins, how her fingers fly. She is within us, beginning to end. Our grandmother, our sister, our friend. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. Oh, she changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches. One more time. There is a woman who meets the night sky. See what she spins, how her fingers fly. She is within us, beginning to end. Our grandmother, our sister, our friend. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. Oh, she changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. So I'll ask, if you will, to close your eyes and go within. I'm going to lead us on a brief little meditative journey. So take a deep breath. Bring yourself very present right here in this moment. Feel yourself in your body. And then bring your attention up to your third eye in the center of your forehead. Imagine it like an actual eye, like your other 2. And then go ahead and open it up and look out through it into your imagination, and find yourself walking through a corn maze on a dark night in late autumn, early winter. And there are very tall torches high above the tops of the corn stalks so you can see where you're going. And those corn stalks are about 2 feet taller than you, so it makes perfect labyrinth walls. And along the way, pumpkins are placed where the pathway branches off, indicating where you have a choice of which way to go. And you've been wanting to take this walking meditation for a while, to welcome the season, all bundled up, warm and cozy in your fleece, your body comfortable, the air dry and cool and crisp. And it feels good to be here, about 15 minutes deep within the labyrinth. encountering no one else. It's just here for you. The scent of corn and straw and damp earth everywhere, the stars shining in the sky above, the rustle of the corn stalks in the occasional breeze that makes its way through the passageways, the warmth of the torches throwing light and casting shadows. Now you find that you are reaching the very center of the labyrinth, and you notice that the path forks. And as you walk closer to it, you notice that more than just pumpkins mark this branching. An old woman sits there on a wicker chair. She's wearing a warm coat on top of her long skirt and a kerchief on her head. And what you can see of her hair is gray, and her beautiful face is wrinkled. But it's her eyes, though. They are knowing and loving as she looks at you. And you feel as if you are standing in the presence of a loving goddess. And that's because you are. She is the Crone goddess of wisdom, here with you at the very center of this corn maze. And now you approach her and you find yourself almost instinctively wanting to bow to her. There is something regal about her, even though she's not wearing finery of any kind. It is her presence, so strong, so clear. It is her eyes looking so deeply into yours. You can tell that she senses that you want to bow, and a slight smile brightens her face. She does not actually speak, but you can hear her question to you as if she just spoke it out loud. "What is it you want to know, my child?" she asks. Now, you didn't expect this, so take a moment in the loving presence of the Crone of Wisdom and consider what you want to know about how best to prepare for when it is your time to leave. Somewhere in the hopefully distant future, but contemplate what you want to ask her about this and form your question now. Good. Now, looking back at her, you see that her eyes have never left you. You feel so safe with her, so seen and so welcome. It's intimate and beautiful. And you needn't speak out loud either. You can simply ask your question of her in your heart, and she will hear it. So do so now, from your heart. Ask this beautiful, powerful crone your question. And then listen within for her answer. Remember what it is that she has said. Replay her answer in your mind now. And as you stand before her, the two of you gazing lovingly at each other, it feels good to know that whenever that time comes, she will be with you. And you will remember this feeling of love and comfort and truth in the presence of the Crone of Wisdom, and you won't be afraid, and it'll be okay. She is beholding you with such love in this moment that you can feel it like a hug. In fact, it feels so much like one that you find yourself moving closer to her. And so she stands and she opens her arms for your embrace. Step forward into her hug now. Oh, this hug, so warm. So much love, such comfort and peace it brings to you. And you can sense when the hug is complete, and so you pull away a bit, taking in her ancient face with your eyes. And now she pulls away and she sits back down on her chair or her throne. Reach into your pocket now and find the prayer bundle of herbs that you brought with you as an offering. You were going to leave it somewhere here, an offering of gratitude for the season, for the magic of the corn maze, but now you place it in her hands. And as soon as you do, the image and experience fades from your inner vision. You find yourself back here in this sanctuary. Take another deep breath. Feel yourself back in your body, and when you feel ready, gently open your eyes. Remember what it is that you asked of the crone, and remember her answer. It might not make sense in this moment, but it probably will over time. So my friends, because I follow nature in my spiritual practice, and because I see nature go dormant in the winter and come to life again and again, so far all 65 years that I've been here in this life, and because we are not separate from nature, I believe in reincarnation. It just makes sense to me. Witnessing the changes of the seasons and knowing them as part of Mother Nature's irrefutable laws, it makes sense that our souls too are eternal. Our bodies are temporal, but our souls are eternal. And that we come into body for an earthly experience in which we learn and we grow, and then we die and we leave, and then we come back, and then we go and we come back again and again as part of our soul's evolution. I believe in karma, cause and effect, that our souls are on this trajectory of evolution, that we are here to do good, to raise the vibration of the world around us, to try to synthesize our hearts and our minds and our bodies and our souls for the time that we are allotted here, and that our attempts at doing so are necessary for our spiritual growth. At Samhain and Dios de los Muertos and today, All Saints' Day, our beloved dead look back at us from our altars. It's a good time to look into your heart and soul about your own death and think about it. Not in a macabre way or a morbid way, not even about how you will die or when you will die, but about how you want to meet the moment of your death. How do you want to meet your death? What do you want the condition of your soul to be at that time of transition? How do you want to be leading up to that moment? This is a good time to think about that, to prepare for it, to create a template for your soul to live into when the time comes. Or should I say, create a template to die into. When we take the time to make peace with this deep mystery, we find motivation to take care of our business, making it easier on those we leave behind, making arrangements for our estate, about what's to become of our remains. The wisdom of the Crone asks us to consider our legacy, and this is part of that. What's going to happen with us and all of our stuff once our soul leaves our body? Who's going to manage all that? There's something about tending to these responsibilities that is so liberating, and it frees you up to live life more fully, more peacefully. It's very satisfying. When I finally sat down and created my will, I felt like I dropped 40 pounds. If only I had. When I contemplate the Crone in my spiritual practice, I feel a sense of relief. So just to be clear, I am not suggesting in any way that we should rush toward our death if we are not ready for it or if we're not there yet. Rather, I'm suggesting that embracing the truth of death on the life cycle as part of wholeness, that means our own death someday, actually amplifies our joy in living. This is the beautiful thread in the weave of the Crone's wisdom and wholeness, that acknowledging this truth with our full presence, instead of shying away or denying it, serves to heighten the beauty of life while we are still here living it. What the Crone weaves into wholeness is all she knows from her time as the maiden and as the mother and as the Crone she now is. And what she knows is that life is ever changing, nothing remains the same, life comes in and life goes out. She weaves the entirety of who she is, the entirety of the life cycle into being. And it creates a beautiful tapestry of all there is and how we are all a part of it, not separate from it. We are it. We are part of the truth and wisdom of nature and the naturalness of life and death and life and death, life and death, again and again. The crone makes sure that all of this happens exactly as it must, keeping the cycle turning. When we turn toward the beautiful crone of wisdom and remember that she is us and we are her, we trust that when the time comes to meet her at the threshold, we will happily surrender. We will look forward into the mystery with our spiritual eyes open and our hearts full of curiosity to take it all in. Very different than what we've been taught about how to fear death. The crone of wisdom reminds us that there is nothing to be afraid of. We will trust that she will be there with us, she will guide us, holding us, a wise presence for the transition. And when that moment comes, all we have to do is let go. Bryce, this is where we'll hear the song. Thank you.
Divine Mother, I hear you calling me. Holy Father, I taste your love. Your grace and wisdom washes over me, cleansing my body, my mind, and my soul. And letting go of control. And now I remember it is through your precious love that I am whole. Divine Mother, I am your daughter. Holy Father, this is the end to all separation. As we embrace the truth, we are one. And oh, I surrender, letting go of control. And now precious love that I am whole. These are the hands of the goddess. She makes the plans for you and me. These are the arms of the mother. She holds the key to this mystery. And oh, I surrender, letting go of control. And now I remember it is through your precious love that I am whole. It is through your precious love that I am whole. It is through your precious love that I am whole.
That was sung and recorded by my friend Susan Chayet, who is also now an ancestor. So the wheel of the year is a magnificent thing, and as we walk the wheel, as it continues to roll forward in time, we gather the experience of everything that there is. We frolic in joy and we swoon in ecstasy. We rage with a vengeance and we weep in sorrow. We dream and we plan and we work hard. We win, we lose, we receive and we give. We rest and we reflect. The totality of that is perfect in design, I think, and we are part of its perfection. Why wouldn't we embrace it with our whole hearts and minds and souls? What better thing to surrender to than perfection? I can't think of a one. So my friends, as winter progresses and the nights grow longer and the darkness deepens, may we feel the loving presence of our ancestors on the other side and know the Crone of wisdom who stands at the threshold. May our beloved dead remind us of the preciousness of life. May we embrace the wisdom of the Crone for the truth she brings, the truth we can rely on. And if you are lucky enough to encounter an old woman, listen to what she has to say, because you are in the presence of a holy Crone. Thank you, and blessed be.
Thank you very much, Judith. That was I was thinking as I helped us to begin this, I felt the slight return of summer, like it was approximately 40 degrees more in this room than it was outside. Who can understand the ways of the goddess? But as Judith was speaking and sharing her wisdom, I realized that autumn had returned, calm, peace, and we can move forward. So again, thank you. So next on our agenda is sharing our wealth. Again, this community is an all-volunteer community. We are the individuals and those of us who come to this building, those of us who watch online. We honor that you're here today, and we ask that any contributions, whether they be financial or that they be of your volunteer time, your voices, all of this is valued by us. But unfortunately, when we want to pay for the internet, Comcast says, yeah, well, we need money. I'm sorry. So again, not to be too mercenary, but thank you again for your contributions. I was thinking also, as you were speaking and using the term Crone, that I like the term from the Polish, which is dziadek, a Polish old man. To most old women are thought of as babci, grandmother. So I'm going to be an old man and write a check, but we appreciate any cash. And again, all contributions are supporting us. Thank you. Yeah, the phone also through the QR code, or again, those of us who are watching online, please, yes, there's Jamal hopefully holding up the QR code, but the website has a lovely green button that says donate. If you are looking at that website, please use it. And again, we thank you, and I'd like to turn it over to Sally Jo. I do encourage you to look further at that website for our upcoming gatherings, but Sally Jo can elaborate on those things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Gotta get this down to my level here. Thank you so much. And yes, we would like to encourage you to check out our website to see our weekly gatherings and our monthly gatherings and all the different things that happen here at ICS throughout the week, including Sunday mornings. And next Sunday, you'll see on the back of your program, will be our second Sunday worship service is the Universal Worship with Michael Douglas, Joey Klein, and Rich Ater. And we will be also having, after today's service, we have a guiding council meeting the first Sunday of every month at 11:45. We'll be meeting downstairs to just talk about the business of the keeping the sanctuary going and running the place in the way that we all would like to see all of our needs met throughout the community. In the coming week, of course, we have classes, we have events that occur on a regular basis. We know that Tuesday is Election Day, and we will have the sanctuary open from 9 a.m. to 3 o'clock, I think, at least, for quiet meditation, contemplation. No cell phones or TVs or internet allowed in the sanctuary at that time. That will be for us to have a quiet place to come for those who wish to pray, meditate, and hope for peace and calm to descend upon us all. And we also have some special events coming up. There's an annual Thanksgiving praise and Thanksgiving coming up that has been going on for many, many years in this community, in this area. It's not being held at Interfaith Community Sanctuary this year. Sometimes it is. Most of the times we find a bigger venue. This year it's being held at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Capitol Hill, and that is on November 24th, which is actually a week before Thanksgiving, but that's so we can all get to it. And that's on a Saturday or Sunday, Jamal? It's on a Sunday afternoon at, the flyer was just put out, but we haven't printed it yet. At 2:30. All right, so this is, and again, we'll be putting this online. We just got the flyer.
It's a big event, actually. Last year, even with pandemic, just after pandemic, 150 people came. Before that, it was 250.
You can come up and talk, yeah, because we're still online.
So the annual Thanksgiving program, we've had it for decades, and we've always participated in conjunction with other houses of worship. This, as you said, I don't want to repeat myself, but at St. Joseph's, we were hoping a good number of people will come. Last year, it was at St. Patrick's, where 150 people came. So if you can, please do come, 2:30, St. Joseph's.
Okay, and then, of course, we have our weekly meetings of Rumi classes and Whirling Dervishes Monday evening, and Rumi classes Tuesday and Wednesday, and we have our meditation group on Thursday at 7 here. And most of these events are either in person and or online, or both, sometimes both. But for the details, you do need to look at the website, and if you're on our weekly announcement list, you also get our upcoming gatherings for the week, and that will give you all the details you will need. Friday prayers in the Islamic tradition takes place on Zoom, and as I said, the special events, we have this coming Saturday is your study group with the Meister Eckhart study group, and that's at 3 o'clock, right? 3 o'clock, and it's right here, but it's also on Zoom, right? So please check out what might be of interest to you and might be of inspiration to you as you go through your week. And then if anyone else has something that I might have missed, please feel free to raise your hand or pipe up. Otherwise, I think we will end our live streaming now and give people a chance to share their hearts here. We say goodbye to our friends online and thank them for their participation. And Judith, this might be a time where this is a time when we reflect as a community on either what has been said in the service or what has come up in our hearts. And I'm going to kind of let you also, we pass the mic around so that we in the room can hear, because some of us are Crones and losing our hearing a little bit. So, and I need to slip downstairs and get a letter out that I'm going to read in just a minute. But I would ask you to please go ahead and ask for people to just share whatever